Now, it's always exciting when I have the guys from FluidTokens join me on the podcast, and I have Matteo joining me on this episode to talk through a couple of things that they're up to around Project Catalyst. And also, I'd like to have a little recap since the token launch as well, the LBE on MinSwap. How has everything been since?
It's going great. It's going great. We did a lot of things on the background. We are doing a lot of things on the background. We check the token, how is it going itself. It's just doing some price discovery. We're happy because it's in the hands of the community now, so that we see that there's a good distribution of the token. And we are working now for setting up to deploy the staking part for farming the token on FluidTokens itself, right? So for the end of February, it should be ready. And on the background, we are working on all the protocols we already announced and some new ones that we still have to announce. So there is a lot of going on. We didn't change anything except, announcing more stuff.
Yeah, you got Finesse, you have Aquarium, you have the ERC20 like featured token on Cardano for USDC. There's a lot to cover here and a lot to talk about, but let's be laser focused and have a look into what you guys are proposing in your Catalyst proposals. I know there's a bit here to go through, so can you take me through or what you got to offer?
Right. So our main Catalyst proposals regards Aquarium protocol, and we already announced a little bit about this, but it basically allows Bable fees on Cardano. It's something that many users actually waited for a long time on Cardano because it was promised. I know IOG is working still on that. And Aquarium creates a sort of, not a layer 2, but a sort of, because it requires a decentralized network of validators. And they basically are responsible for forwarding your transactions in a way that you don't have to pay the fee in ADA, but instead you can pay them in other coins that are supported, or don't have to pay fees at all because maybe the dApp that you're using wants to sponsor them for you. So it basically allows a way to simplify how the blockchain works for the average user. Because, for example, if any dApp that is actually a real-world application, so maybe a marketplace or something that is of real objects, they want to use, for example, stable coins to transact, so to allow the purchase of goods, and they don't want the need for the user to pay with ADA the fees, right? Because otherwise you have to manage stable coins and ADA as well in the same wallet, which is not ideal for the user that doesn't know anything about blockchain. So this Aquarium protocol allows to abstract the blockchain, so to hide the complexity and allow people to transact with different coins without needing ADA directly.
And like you said, that's perfect for anyone that's new coming into the ecosystem and not knowing all these different tokens that you need to get, and just having something like USDM or something like that to purchase your NFTs or go into a staking program. It just makes sense. So, I love this. I did have a look at the MVP and try to have a little play around with it as well. So I'll put links to it. So if anyone wants to have a look at it, they can.
The MVP is a very minimal implementation. The contract that is working with this Aquarium system is very simple. It's a dumb one, but at least it shows you that you don't pay the fee and that to execute the transaction. But of course, on any contract that Cardano supports can be used with Aquarium, and Aquarium creates expands the possibility. This is the core mechanics, right? These fees that can be paid, but as you have a decentralized network of validators that forward your transaction already, you can basically program your transactions. So if you want to say, I want to execute this transaction, if this event happen, you can set up a rule on Aquarium and program the execution of your transaction that this validator will do for you. So it allows you a lot of things. For example, limit orders can be done like this, and also the execution of batchers on DEXs can be finally decentralized, so given in the hands of this network of validators that will take care of this.
That's pretty interesting. So we've got a couple of there. Decentralization of the various batches. So for those that don't know, a lot of the dexes out there require off-chain code, and there's a lot of validators that the DEX is run to actually process these transactions. So this will allow to decentralize that, which is really, really interesting. And I also am trying to work out like another real use case for these programmable off-chain executions of the orders. You said limit orders was one of them, but I'm trying to think of another one. Do you have any other examples that people could get an understanding of?
I mean, there are several that anything you want to actually automate, uh, which is anything, because the problem with smart contracts is that they are reactive. So you need to interact with them to execute any action. Any smart contract, there is nothing that is actually automatic, right? But if you have a set of validators that are incentivized to execute the transaction at the correct time and the correct context, then you actually have automation. And this is how what Aquarium is doing as a second, let's say, branch with this network. And there are several. Actually, we've been contacted by different projects that already exist in Cardano, and they are building, and they want to benefit from this, or the automation part or the feeless transaction. So hiding the ADA necessity. It's pretty interesting. And then you can open more, which is a new layer again of Aquarium, which revolves about smart account. So when the edits to the Cardano architecture will be made, we have some proposals already in progress, right? We will be able to actually create smart accounts, and these smart accounts will be able to interact directly with Aquarium, the network, and allow people to have smart wallets that can execute programmed transactions just by defining the rules they want.
This is crazy. This is like taking things to the next level, like big, big, big time, especially the automation and the programming of that automation. I guess we will see in a year's time where this goes and what people come up with. It's it's the dApps, the developers that will come up some use cases for this. But the underlying technology here sounds super interesting, and I'd really love to see what comes out of it. You also mentioned that people can be validators to help decentralize this and decentralize the batches. Have you gone down that path yet? Like, how far along have you gone down the path of developing the code for the validators?
Right. So yes, it's in progress because the first, when we are developing and we are beta testing it, we will probably have like a close set of validators to ensure that everything is working properly. There are no weird mistakes, and then we will open it. And to join this network of validators, you will have to stake, for example, FLDT as a guarantee that you will behave correctly. And we are still deciding if it will be fully FLDT or will be like half FLDT or half ADA. So a way to actually ensure that the behavior is 100% correct. But apart from that, it will be as a regular script that you run on a server and can be another existing server. For example, your already existing validators in Cardano, and then just that loops and listen to the blockchain to know and to the events that they are scheduled. And what Aquarium does is basically create a pipeline of the task to be done at a certain time, at a certain condition, and assigns them automatically to the validators. So they don't do everything the same transaction every time, but they just only one is chosen, and there is another one for backup in case the first one fails.
Okay, there's a lot of planning to get this all working and operating as it should. I'll keep an eye out on this development and see how it goes. I would love to run a validator myself as well, especially on existing infrastructure for my stake pool. So it just makes sense to. Now, with the Catalyst proposal, I'm making assumptions here, but what is the Catalyst proposal going to fund? Is it going to fund the rest of the development of this MVP to get it to a releasable, stable release?
Yes, it will definitely. The Catalyst proposal actually speeds up the process because we can give more priority, because we have so many things at the same time. We have to choose which one to do first. And about the part where there are Feeless transactions and the rules, so the programmable transactions. These two parts are the one that belong to the Catalyst proposal, and the Catalyst proposal basically allows us to do it quickly. So we can respect the schedule and have it open source and available to all the projects that actually contact us very quickly. And in this way, it should be helpful for the Cardano in general, because everything that simplifies the blockchain should be, in my opinion, pushed forward, because we want adoption, right? So the only way to do adoption is to make it user friendly.
All right, brilliant. I'll put links to the Catalyst proposal in the show notes for this one, so people can find out a little bit more about it. Now, what about your other proposals? Is there another highlight one that you want to go through?
Yes, we have another one that is particularly important to us, which is the BaFin smart contract. So, okay, we are talking about Finest, which is the project that we created with IAMX and the maker that is going to be released in a few weeks from now. And it's about real-world asset tokenization, right? And we are based in Europe, and the whole European area needs compliance to create actual real-world asset tokenized. To tokenize them, right? And the legal entity that covers that is called BaFin. And if you are compliant with BaFin, you are compliant in the whole European area, which is a lot. It's a big territory, right? So it's the problem is that BaFin recognize certain smart contracts that have been made on Polygon and Ethereum for tokenizing and managing real-world assets, because they require some compliance level like a KYC. And the problem is that on Cardano, we don't have any smart contract that is recognized like this. So we can do it, we can write it. Is not difficult for us because we are used to writing smart contracts. But the problem is that after that, you need a proper audit from BaFin itself in order to make it compliant and be used for tokenizing stuff in Europe. And this is not only for Finest as a project, but in general for any project that want to tokenize stuff in Europe and be legally compliant, so protect the actual buyers. And it's the only way. So once you do it, it's done for everybody. But somebody has to do it. So it's important to... Yes, I mean, it's always like this. So if you are in US, you have the CIC, right? That controls this kind of securities and stuff. And on this part, you have the BaFin. And the process is clear. They are very happy to actually collaborate to do this, but we need the funding, because the auditing cost is expensive, because they have to pay their own team and work with us to ensure that the contract does what we want, what's it needed.
All right, so this will allow for other protocols on Cardano to follow the same path. Is that's correct? Yep, to be clear.
Yeah, it's open to everyone. The final product is open source, of course, and is audited by BaFin. So anybody that wants to use it is there. It's available to everybody. So it's not, if Finest needs it, of course, because we are tokenizing stuff in Europe, but anybody that wants to tokenize any asset in Europe has to go through this. So even whatever project we have on Cardano, or we will have on Cardano, that wants to tokenize stuff, it has to use that.
And there certainly is a couple of projects that are doing real world asset tokenization at the moment. So I think you should collaborate with more people. Make sure this one's done. It just makes sense. So it's yes. Really good one. How you said it was expensive, but how expensive is expensive to get the audit?
It's basically the what we requested in the Catalyst proposal is the actual cost that was estimated to us for having the BaFin auditing. So it's doable, but it's not cheap, as you can see, and definitely need a little bit of help from the community in this case, from the treasury. And yes, there are many projects that are doing real-world asset tokenization now, because it's one of the cool things that are happening in the blockchain space now. But many just touch some type of assets that don't fall under the security umbrella. so under the security terminology, and or they do it, for example, only in the US or outside Europe, or so they are playing carefully. But this
Yeah.
basically enables them as well to actually jump into the game of the serious assets. So it will be good for everybody and have a big ecosystem of tokenized assets in Cardano.
Yeah, I think 2024 is going to be a big year for RWA's real world assets. So we'll see how this one goes. From what I could see, it seems like the voting for the BaFin one is going quite well, especially in other ecosystems like Liquid Finance have their own catalyst voting thing as well, and it looked like it was doing quite well there too. So I really think this one will go through. I think there's a lot of benefit from it. So if anyone's watching and wants to vote for this one, please follow the links down below in the show notes and give this one a vote as well. Now, I know you have another one around real world assets. Did you want to go through this one as well?
This is still about Finest, which allows us to basically accelerate some parts of the development of the whole platform. Finest is a launchpad for real world assets. So we have we are creating a way to allow people which have cryptos or even not have cryptos to actually buy the tokens that represent fractions of the assets, but that are, as we say, legally compliant. So they are actually representations of the assets underneath, which give you protection in case of troubles, legal, financial troubles, legal troubles about the assets. You can claim the actual ownership. And on the other side, there is the whole pipeline made for businesses and enterprises that have these assets and want to tokenize them, because you need to onboard them, you need to be ensured that they do the compliancy part, that they have the documents needed and deposit them and sign them. And then after this, we have the actual tokenization process that create the tokens and puts them on the Launchpad itself. So the proposal there is a way to speed up this process in order to have a strong platform that on Cardano that allows it, that gives us a huge start to this movement of the tokenization of real world assets.
Another super exciting development. So fingers crossed that one gets some votes too, and we can see more tokens and projects go through the Launchpad and tokenize whatever they want to tokenize. Who knows what it's going to be. I'm sure there's a lot of other regulations and things that you guys need to play around with to make this all in action and all working. But at least there's 3 fantastic teams all behind this Finest platform to make sure it's all happening and make sure it actually comes to fruition. So I'm looking forward to the launch. You said it's going to launch when? Next month?
It should be next month, early next month. So it will be interesting to see the first tokenized project, and then we have a big pipeline of already order that are just waiting us. So we are just choosing the order to release the project, and they're pretty excited to start as well. So it's cool. And it's important to note that our catalyst proposals, these 3, don't deny the actual development of these projects. It's just a way to accelerate them and a way to do more stuff on them. So, for example, let's say Aquarium, for example, it allows us to be quicker in the deployment and add additional stuff on it. So make more cool stuff with in less time. Otherwise, we just have to respect our pipeline of development and deployment, which can take a little bit, unluckily. So depending on what the community needs and wants, this is a way to basically make it quicker.
Yeah, so it satisfies all those people that just keep on asking when. If you want it now, vote for the proposals. That's when you'll get it.
We should link the proposals every time they write when under the tweets.
Yeah, exactly. That's a brilliant answer for it. All right, Matteo, is there anything else that we need to go through in regards to the Catalyst proposals, or anything else that you wanted to drop for the audience here?
No, I think we went through everything. I hope I was clear enough to explain them enough well. There is a lot of technical details behind all of them. In the BaFin one is also legally complex. This is why we have IAMX in the team, because they do the legal part. We are tech. So
Yeah.
it's difficult for us.
Let them do the boring bits.
Yeah, no, it's they are good at it. This is, I guess, it's less boring for them. But yes, so just keep it. Please vote, guys, if you believe in any of these proposals. You know us. We've been here for a while. We just launched the token, FluidTokens. It went pretty well. People are happy. Is going good, and we have a big roadmap. Aquarium is just one of the protocols that we are making on FluidTokens, and but it's a cool one. I think it's very useful. We talked a little bit with Charles in one of the Twitter Spaces a few weeks ago, and he was happy that people are basically finding solutions. The community is working on solutions for the problems that were around. We've been around for a while in Cardano, right? Not a problem, but an actual feature that people want.
Yeah, precisely. I'll put a link to that X space with Charles as well, so people can catch up on that one. But Matteo, this has been great. It's good catching up and finding out what FluidTokens and the team there is getting up to. All the links in the show notes down below for anyone that's interested in Catalyst voting. There isn't much time left, so please make sure, if you can, add these ones to your list. It'll be much appreciated, not just for the FluidTokens team, but I think for everyone in the Cardano ecosystem to have these features implemented and used. So, Matteo, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast.
Thank you, Pete. As always, it's always a pleasure. So let's speak again soon.
Yeah, gotta do it like that. You've been listening to the Learn Cardano podcast. Gotta get it hype. Crypto is what we like, but this is not investment or financial advice. Gotta do your research, cause it's risky. We know it is. This show is educational and it's informative. Crypto's the future, really, it ain't no debate.